Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. We'll be refuting Abu Layth's criticism again on Sahih Bukhari on another particular hadith. Let's listen to what he says and we'll debunk his claims. And notice when he reads the hadith, look how deceptive he is. He adds exaggeration and his own chauvinistic tones to exaggerate the situation to make it look worse than it is. So he basically tries to claim that Sahih Bukhari is a fake. There's a fake hadith narration in there, and it shows that the Prophet Muhammad was more of a, standover man. Like he would basically, it'd show the Prophet's character in a bad light when he goes out to choose a woman to get married to. And he says, how can a prophet behave in this way? So let's have a look at how he actually reads the hadith, and then we will read the same hadith that he's reading, and you'll see that there is surely a difference between the two. Let's have a listen.
Let's take a look at another example. Right, now let's take a look at this. I want to show us something. In Kitab al-Talaq, right, Hadith 5255. Okay. The Prophet comes to the house of this woman, Umaima bint Nu'man ibn Sharahil, and she has a maid with her as well. The Prophet says to her, Hibi nafsaki li, give yourself to me.
Okay, notice how he adds exaggeration. Notice how he points the finger. He's like, give yourself to me. Like, notice he points the finger. Does the hadith say he points the finger at her? So why did he point the finger? Like demanding, like with a finger, walks inside the house and puts the finger out. Does the hadith actually put the finger out the way he does that body language? No. Let's look at what the hadith actually says. This is the same hadith, Sahih Bukhari 5255, narrated Abu Usaid. It says, we went out with the Prophet to the garden called Ash-Shaut till we reached the two walls between which sat down. The Prophet said, sit here. And we went into the garden, and Junaid, a lady from Bani Jaun, had been brought and lodged in a house in a date palm garden in the home of Umaima bin Anom bin Sharahil, and her wet nurse was with her. Now listen to this bit, it says, when the Prophet entered upon her, he said to her, give me yourself as a gift. Oh, now that's really different to the way the fake Mufti narrated the actual hadith, yeah? So we have the hadith a lot more toned than the way he described it. So he came in there like a macho man, doing all this, circus act, pointing the finger, demanding, give me your hand in marriage. Let's have a look again.
Before he was even a prophet.
Okay, so I've put it to the correct part. Let's have a listen.
He says to her, Hibi nafsaki li, give yourself to me.
And do you see the reaction? Points the finger, give yourself to me. The hadith doesn't even say or show that the Prophet Muhammad was pointing the finger. Why is he pointing the finger? And notice the hadith says, give yourself to me as a gift, and he removes that part. I mean, I don't know what hadith book he's reading, but, it says, I can put the transcript and you can read it for yourself. I'll put a hyperlink. You can read the hadith for yourself. It clearly says, give yourself to me as a gift. And Abu Layth completely dismisses that part. He doesn't even mention anything about a gift. In fact, he even points the finger to say this is what the Prophet did. He points the finger to say, give me yourself. But does a hadith point the finger at her and say, give me yourself? No. Let's read the hadith. Have a look. It says, when the Prophet entered upon her, he said to her, give me yourself as a gift, like in marriage. That's it. So why all this drama by Abu Layth? And that's what I mean. Like, he wants to dismiss the hadith. And by the way, he doesn't even go to the isnad and say, oh, look, it's a weak narration. We can prove it's a weak narration because, the chain of narrations are broken or this or that. I mean, he can't even attack that. All he says is, oh, just because I disagree, if it looks a bit strange. And then on top of that, because he has his preconditioned, propaganda that he has against Bukhari and so forth, he even puts his own tone, his own exaggeration to the actual text of the hadith. And in fact, he even dismisses words to make it look worse than it is. I mean, why didn't he put the humble, kind words of the Prophet where he actually said it in a nice way, give me yourself as a gift? Like, he humbled himself in front of the lady he wanted to marry. But of course, this is how deceitful this Abu Layth is. He completely dismisses that. He does not quote that and shows how intellectually dishonest he is. And in fact does his theatrics and exaggeration by pointing his finger as if that's how the Prophet Muhammad requested her hand.
Okay. The Prophet, she's a Muslim by the way. The Prophet says to her, give yourself to me. قالت, what does she respond? وهل تهب الملكة نفسها للسوق? Does a queen give herself to lowlifes? These are her words. Look, Sahih Bukhari. Yeah.
He actually lied again. He exaggerated the translation. She didn't actually call him a lowlife. She said, can a princess give herself in marriage to an ordinary man? She said, there's a difference between saying an ordinary man and a lowlife. I mean, lowlife is pretty harsh. But an ordinary man could just be someone who's not like a king. Obviously she sees herself like a queen. She wants someone like a king, not just an average man. There's a difference between saying an average man and a low life. I mean, the rhetoric that he used is low life. And she didn't say you're a low life. She just said you're an ordinary man. She obviously wants someone like a king. So again, why did this Abu Layth exaggerate the translation of the Arabic into English? Why did he exaggerate and lie upon Sahih Bukhari, make it again look worse than it is?
فأهوى بيده يضع يده عليها. Sorry, فأهوى بيده يضع يده عليها. No, it was correct. Then the Prophet tries to touch her, and she moves, and she says to him, أعوذ بالله منك, I seek refuge in Allah from you. From who? From the Prophet.
Now this is another lie. The Prophet Muhammad didn't go and try and grapple her and reach over and touch her. He didn't do it in that way. It actually says that the Prophet raised his hand to pat her so that she might become tranquil. Like, he basically wanted to calm her down, to say, look, don't sort of freak out. I'm just being humble. And he tried to sort of pat her down, just keep her tranquil. He didn't sort of reach over to try and grapple her, I mean, what kind of an exaggeration is this to the hadith? I mean, is this how desperate and how incoherent? I mean, didn't this man ever think to himself that I'm going to be checked upon this? I mean, how embarrassing is this for this person? And this person claims he's honest, he's intellectual, he's reading things from a non-biased standard, he wants to look at truths, he wants to look at evidences, and this guy's butchering the text, manipulating the text, adding his own interpretation, removing things from the hadith, and causing all of this drama upon the hadith when it's totally the opposite?
Sahih Bukhari. Nonsense. Utter.
Now, he also said that, she actually sought refuge. She sought refuge from Satan, from the Prophet Muhammad. And he says, this is utter nonsense. This is utter nonsense. But look how pathetic this person is. Did he even not read the Quran? The woman wasn't actually accusing the Prophet for being a devil and calling him a Satan worship, being like Satan and so forth. This is what women of that time used to do. They used to always seek refuge from Satan, from another man coming close to them and so forth, because this was the approach of the women back then, and that was their behavioral pattern. Because women back then are chaste, and they would act in that humble fashion, and so when regardless if it was a religious figure or non-religious figure that came to them, and they obviously don't know that person deep down, and so they can't obviously trust them 100%, so they would always seek refuge from Allah, regardless who that is. And we know that even from the story of Maryam alayhi salam, when Allah sent Jibreel to Mary, Mary actually said to Jibreel, I seek refuge from you. When he came in the form of a man, she said to Jibreel, I seek refuge from you. Now, did Mary actually insult Jibreel, the archangel of God, and call him Satan as well? Does that even make sense as well? Is Abu Layth now going to accuse the Quran itself and say that is false? Because Mary actually sought refuge in Allah from Satan because she felt that the angel was coming to her to touch her and so forth. Do we now criticize the Quran and that part of the Islamic tradition too? Here is the verse in Quran 19:16-21. It says, and mention in the book the story of Mary when she withdrew from her family to an eastern place, and she placed a screen to seclude herself from them. Then we sent to her our angel, and he took the form of a well-created man before her. She said, indeed, I seek refuge with the most merciful from you, if you do fear God.
Sahih Bukhari. Nonsense. Utter nonsense.
You are absolutely utter nonsense, and you should be ashamed from yourself for spreading lies and distorted crap about, Sahih al-Bukhari. You are absolutely nonsensical yourself, and you really need to have a good look at yourself for being absolutely vile and unshameful in your distortion of Sahih al-Bukhari and your misrepresentation of the actual events.